All right, greeting folks. We're gonna take a different approach to these videos today because so many people ask me questions. I get asked a lot of, like the other day, I spent about an hour on the phone with 4 different friends explaining a different technique on the barbecue for them because I get excited by it. People know I'm excited about it. And to be totally honest, it's one of the few things I actually feel like I can share knowledge with. So that's what this is. That's what this is today. Barbecue Explained. One of the most asked things that I show on the Instagram, and people are like, how do you do that, is the reverse sear method. I say it a lot. I give no context to it. I'm kind of an asshole that way. So I thought, why not do an entire video about me just walking you through the reverse sear method, start to finish on the barbecue. It's also Father's Day coming up, so I thought this is my gift to you, then you can give to your Faja. Well, I did it again, folks. Father's Day was on Sunday. I've been a little busy, and I got my Sundays mixed up. It's all good. Happy belated Father's Day, or every day is Father's Day. Back to the video. Okay, so a couple little things, little side notes. We're gonna take this, we're freestyle in this video today. Charcoal barbecue. So right off the hop, I've got a chimney down there. I've already got charcoals in there. I'm sitting at about 400 Fahrenheit. It's a little bit hot. So what I've done is I am closing the air valves by removing oxygen. You're now controlling the airflow and you're bringing down the temperature of the barbecue. Also have to be mindful that the steak we're going to use is very fatty, and the fat, if it hits any sort of flame, it will bring the temperature of the barbecue up. So right now we're sitting a little high, just want to wait for it to come down just a little bit. So while that continues to go down, let me show you the cut of meat we're going to be using. So this is a Tomahawk rib steak. In a couple of weeks, we're going to release a 5 Things I Love to Crush steaks and butcher shops, so I feature this exact steak. What I love about this is, first off, you cannot do the reverse sear method unless you're doing a thick cut of meat. So obviously this is about 2.5 inches here, maybe even 3 inches thick. Got a beautiful bone, lots of fat. It's cut very evenly. It's also dry aged. It's got a beautiful little cap here. The cap is my favorite part of the whole rib steak. It's very tender. Great marbling inside. This is exactly the kind of cut of meat you need when doing reverse sear. It does not work on a thin steak. It really doesn't work on a lean steak. It needs to be a honking piece of meat. So now, barbecue's coming down in temp. We're just gonna lightly season it. You season it a couple times. You season it before it goes on, and then you season it again when you're ready to sear. You don't even have to season it at this point, realistically. It's not really, the salts and peppers aren't really penetrating the meat at this point. But I just find it helps kind of establish a nice little salt base. Okay, we're not going to oil it because there's enough fat there. We don't need any flare-ups, because that really does defeat the purpose of the reverse sear. Salt and pepper, super simps, super simps. If you're wondering, simps is just simple. So now we are going to put the steak on the grill. And so if you come and look in here, you have the charcoal pushed all the way to one side in a basket. This steak is going to go on the furthest side away from that. It's nowhere near the charcoal. And then that's really where the phrase reverse sear comes from. Normally, you will sear first and then cook on indirect heat afterwards. This is the opposite. And like I said, you can do this with a really thick cut of meat. Cook it on indirect heat first and then finish it on a sear. What you're getting is this perfectly even cook, top to bottom. You have way more control. It takes longer. It takes patience, and that's okay. We're allowed to be more patient. It's a good thing. All right, so 20 minutes has gone by. I came to check up on the grill. Sitting at 250, which is perfect. It was actually closer to 300, but I opened it, checked it, dropped it, and then it lost temp. So, but that's what we want. We want it to be sitting in that lower temperature. I'm gonna open it up just to see how the color's doing. So we can see the bone is roasting off really nicely. And what's weird about it is, when it cooks, it gets like this gray color, which you think like, that doesn't look, I don't want a gray steak. That goes away. Don't worry about that. But that's literally what we're doing here. We're slowly cooking it as far away from the actual direct flame as possible, because you'll see, like if I were to move it this way, you hear a sizzle immediately, which is what we don't want. That's why we're leaving it on that far side there. I am going to just probe it with this digital thermometer just to get a sense of what the internal temperature is. So we're sitting at about 80 degrees Fahrenheit. And what's great about this is it's pretty even all around. Because there's no direct flame, you're not going to get some parts that are overcooked and other parts that are undercooked. It's almost identical. Usually near the bone is the slowest to cook, which is fine, because what we're going to do is when it is time to get this thing ready, we're going to cut the bone off and sear it again. So I'm just going to pull that out. So we got 20 minutes in. We're probably another 20 minutes out. Ta-da. All right, so we're at 45 minutes now on indirect heat. We're going to open up the grill. We're going to probe it. Like I said, we're looking for 100, 110. That's the goal. Anything more than that, you run the risk of overcooking it in the searing stage. So let's check it out, see where we're going. Again, nowhere near that charcoal. We have nice hot embers still bringing heat to the grill without torching this steak. Just gonna stick that in. And we are sitting at 107. Like, could we ask for a more precise cook? What did I say? I said between 100 and 110. We're sitting at 107. It's exactly what I want. So I'm gonna now remove this steak from the grill. We're then gonna get another chimney going, raging hot. We're gonna get back on this to sear, to finish off. I love it when it works well. I love that. I love that. So normally when we talk about a steak like this, you would never put like a sauce on this. That said, chimichurri, in my opinion, is just so fresh and hits the right amount of acid to kind of go with such a fatty piece of meat. It's perfect. So if someone ever says, what kind of barbecue sauce would you pair with that steak? The answer is no barbecue sauce ever, unless its name is chimichurri. Cut a little hair. We got some Italian flat parsley here. Chop it up. Okay. Now we have some cilantro. We're gonna do the exact same thing with the cilantro. I like to always have about, you know, like a 60-40 blend between my cilantro and my parsley. So if I'm, you know, if you're using a cup of parsley, you can kind of gauge it on that. But I always just like to have a little bit more fresh parsley than I do fresh cilantro. Perfect. Add that to the bowl. A little shallot here, or as Mr. Gordon Ramsay likes to say, shallot. I'm not making fun of Gordon Ramsay. I'm just. That's gonna go in. Garlic, super important with chimichurri, but everyone's like levels of like garlic acceptance is obviously different. So these are pretty large. I'd say use, you know, a couple medium-sized cloves of garlic. And again, just like the onion, you're gonna want to finely chop them. Garlic goes in, and now I'm just gonna add my acid, because what the acid's gonna do is it's gonna start to break down the garlic and the onion before we add the olive oil to it. So now I'm just putting the rest of this hot charcoal back into the barbecue. And we're gonna use that now to sear that meat. So the hot charcoal's underneath there. They're gonna light up the rest of these charcoal. Okay, we're just gonna close this for like 5 minutes, get that raging hot, and we can put our steak right on the grill. All right, so what we want to see is that dial continue to climb up and up and up and hit that 500 range. That's the goal. The barbecue is coming back up to temp. I'm just gonna give it one last salting, or seasoning rather, and this is what's gonna help us get that nice deep sear, which is what we need on this steak. While the steak has been resting, it's had a chance to continue to cook. Now, if you're watching this, you're probably like, there's too much salt. Trust me when when I say a thick cut steak like this, you rarely actually taste the saltiness because we're gonna serve it sliced. And you need this to kind of help you get that sear back. Why don't we throw this on and see what happens? It's still climbing, so that's a good sign. And this is just gonna sit right on that flame. All right, so we're gonna add the olive oil while that's cooking. Now we're not gonna salt this because we've salted that steak twice now, plus we're gonna finish it with some crystal salt. So you really just wanna make a nice paste here. You wanna see it kind of thicken up because of the olive oil. And we can just always go back to and add a little bit more. And like I said, normally I would never put a sauce on a steak. This doesn't count. It's like the best thing ever. So what's awesome is the fat from this cut now is just getting that flame up on the steak, which is exactly what we were looking for. It's what the reverse sear is all about. So now I'm gonna just turn it 90 degrees so we can get those cross grill marks. That way when we flip it, it looks all pretty with those cross marks. Another thing you can do too is in this kind of 12-inch center opening, you can put a cast iron skillet there. Some people like to actually have their sear without marks and literally just have the entire piece of meat completely seared off, which is also good. What you don't get though by doing that is this. You're not because you put it in a cast iron, you're keeping the fat away from the actual fire. You're not getting a chance to have the fat kind of render off, which is what, in my opinion, the point of this whole method is. All right, so I'm just gonna come in. Oh yeah. Look at that sear. Look at that sear. You're getting that beautiful crust because we did that heavy salting and pepper right before it went on. So it's just getting a really good chance to kind of just, it's so crispy. The last thing we're gonna do before we take the steak off the grill is we've had a chance to sear it on both sides. Everyone always forgets this part though. You wanna turn it on its side and get that there's a whole back fat just rendered right off. And really what this is doing now is you're allowing for that fat to just cook off. That's why the flame is at the highest it's been. Good news, steak's done. So what I love to do is just remove the bone, the rib bone, from the tomahawk steak, place the bone and the meat side that's cut just directly onto the flame just to kind of render those off. And now the best part, we're gonna take the steak, we're gonna slice it, we're gonna pour that chimichurri all over it, keep a little bit on the side, and then sprinkle that crystal salt that I love so much, a little Malden sea salt. Serve it, Father's Day, reverse sear. You're welcome, you're welcome, you're welcome, you're welcome, you're welcome, and you're welcome. There you have it, folks. Reverse sear, how to do it, start to finish, the tomahawk rib steak, chimichurri, for Father's Day, for you, for everybody. I'm just happy we got to do this today because it's a beautiful day. Some steak. Like pure butter. Pure seared butter. Thanks so much for watching this. If you want to see more explained barbecue videos, please let me know down in the comments. Other than that, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, turn on those notifications, have another piece of steak, don't mind if I do. All the things. Ooh, chimney.